F tier making, honestly, let me cook. I don't be doing this shit. This is for you. This is for all of you. I don't care all that much about matchups and what people think about the numbers and shit. Like, it don't change how much sleep I get at night. Like, I don't see that somebody said Geo beats his character like 7-3 and go, how could you think that? How could you possibly, how the fuck? How dare you? I don't care. I do not care. And in that same vein, reminder, this is not me opening up a discourse. Like, you can lob opinions in like a respectful manner, but like, let it be known, I really don't care. I really do not care what you think about any given matchup. This is me just talking about what I feel about the characters and the current game as it is right now. You're taking the Lord Knight route, aka this is the tier list, this is the info, don't at me, basically, because like I'm not here to argue with motherfuckers. I don't fucking care what you think about this matchup. I really don't. Like, it's interesting that you feel the way that you do, and that's basically it. Nothing more, nothing less. Interesting. Alright, so let's get started. Who should we start with here? If any of you were here for the first stream that may or may not have happened when I was doing a matchup chart, maybe I should start from characters that aren't the ones that I picked the first time. You know what? Let's go in order. Actually, this is not a bad order going. So let's start with Soul. Soul is a character that has gone through like a lot of changes, honestly, and the matchup has changed along with you know, the patches. Because when the game first came out, I'm going to be honest with you, I think Soul beat her 6-4. It was really bad. Like 6-4, maybe 6.5. Like, it was really bad to play that matchup. Mainly because like his return off of everything was extremely high, and his defense versus her was really good. The style of offense that she wants to run, of like the like tick throwing after 5k, like she really could not do that at all. For example, 5k was like a non-factor in that matchup. Like, you can't frame trap with it, you can't do like 5k 2D too close to him, like you have to space it out, which is harder to do because her dash, if you remember, she could only cancel on frame 9 before, so like spacing out that 5k in a range where like you can't get hit by like 5k by him was like really hard to do, honestly. Like, you had to maybe like dash break 5k, and it's just like really hard to like microspace when you could just like swing 6s. 6s was completely disjointed before too. Like 6s, I think 6s and 5k were like the two biggest problems in that matchup for her. She deadass like couldn't really interact with those normals at all. Like, you can't jump cancel, you know, to try to bait the 5k mash after 5k. Like, you're just giving him his turn, basically. And honestly, 6s was just like, you can whiff punish it, but like you don't get a lot of damage off of that whiff punish. The only real way that she was gonna do that, because of the way her dash worked, like her dash was too slow to like kind of react with 5 heavy in a lot of instances. You had to dash 5k into 2 and 4k, which is like, you know, okay, you get like a little bit of corner carry and a knockdown, but like if he hits you with that 6s, then you're dying, you know? Like, it was just hard to contest that normal. Now you can 6p it, you can go under it, you can whiff punish it way more consistently because of her dash buffs. And honestly, like, I think the matchup has just been going more and more in her favor since, you know, that first version. Honestly, the only thing they needed to do to make it like slightly her favor slash even-ish was change the 6s. Change 6s. They never really changed 5k. That interaction is the same as it always was, but like now that she can space her you know, like her offense more consistently, like, is honestly, I think she just beats him. I think she straight up just beats this character. Like, he has a really hard time catching her in neutral and maneuvering around the way that she wants to like approach or like not approach. Like, her standing right outside of his far slash range is really hard for him to deal with, in my opinion. He does have some good things versus her. I think something that's universally good versus Geo is being able to like delay your landings and like kind of mix up your timing when you're hitting the ground. And he has Bandit Bandit Bringer, which has always been really good versus her. Air dash back, jump heavy. Jump heavy is still the GOAT normal in his game. Jump back, jump S, especially now because they're both slow down counter hit. So like you can hit her out of like far slash startup sometimes and things like that. Like, that kind of maneuvering is really good versus her. But like it's honestly still like not enough, I don't think, because our offense can be very like hard for him to deal with, both in like her standing outside of his effective range and keeping her from like just mashing far slash, and also like his DPs, because his DP is not like a one frame or like a one button input like Leo flash kick, for example. It's easier to hit him out of the input. So I think like her offense versus him is really potent, even with the FD changes, because like he can FD her out and keep her out of his face, but that's not a space that he particularly wants to be in, especially in a corner, because she can harass him with like the tip of like 5 heavy and 2D and things like that. And both of those normals, or 2D specifically, can beat like 6S attempts and far slash attempts. And you know, just it's generally like hard for him to like pin her down, honestly. And it's only been getting easier for her with the buffs, you know. So that's what I think of Soul at the moment. He definitely has the tools to win the matchup, but like it's just hard for him to navigate neutral like safely, right? But he's still Frederick, right? Like he can explode her, you know. But that I don't think that necessarily makes the matchup that much better for him. When I'm talking about these matchups, I kind of want to think more about the tools that the characters have and like how likely or easy it is to actually use them in a way that'll help you win, as opposed to like, you know, how I do versus the character or how the character does versus me, for example, or like how other people are doing in a matchup. Like, because there are like definitely matchups in here that I'll talk about that are probably like, whoa, really? Like, you think that? But like, I think like the character has the tools to deal with this character, or they're just like not really using it correctly, or like have matchup inexperience. But that's what I think of Soul. So that's what we're doing there. Kai. Okay, so Kai, I actually just got done playing Kai. Honestly, I lost that set by a little bit, but definitely looking way better than the first couple of times I played versus Think. That being said, I do think Kai is like even this version. Kai is definitely even right now. So when the game first came out, I think she beat him really badly. It was like 6-4. Well, that's not really bad, but like she definitely had like a clear advantage. Mainly because his fireballs, like he couldn't fireball. Fireball was a non-factor in that matchup for the most part. She can like air dash on reaction and counter hit punish him really easily. Her jump heavy covers a lot of space, and her air dash covers a lot of space. So like Kai really just had to be on his toes when he was using that tool. Also, like she can 6-speed through it and be plus. Because like how much recovery it had, like it had like a joke amount of recovery on it, honestly. But now that he can use that a lot more, like because Geo wants to move along the ground, she's not really an aerial character so much. It's a lot easier for him to like kind of preempt with stun edge and like keep her from just dashing in, and you really don't want to get hit with shock state. You want to keep him from like applying that if you can, honestly. Also his like preempts, or like his preempts are good versus her. Actually 5k was really good. Actually 5k is a little less good right now because she can like space her disjoints out a lot more consistently, because her dash changed and she can cancel on frame 2 instead of frame 9. Like 5k is something, it has a lot of active frames and it's something that he can do along with 2D as well. But like this kind of like maneuvering, this right here, it's not really as strong as it used to be. Because before, like, by the time she wants to hit a button, usually, oh lord, goodness, yeah, there we go. By the time she like actually wants to dash in and hit a button, like the 5k was already active. But now she doesn't have to go that far and she can do this. And this changes not only this matchup but some other matchups in the game as well, where like she really couldn't afford to like dash in that deep on them. But that's just one of the things, honestly. I think Kai has always been a character that played the matchup a lot better in the air, as opposed to trying to play straight up ground game with her. Because his jump heavy is the GOAT, honestly. Jump heavy is the GOAT normal versus her. Like the mix-up between like neutral jump, land, jump heavy, and like delay air dash back jump heavy is really strong versus Geo. Like that kind of maneuvering in general is really strong. Because like it's just putting a wall out that she's dashing into for the most part. And it was always slow down counter. He gets a knockdown on it too, like a really good knockdown. So it's like kind of hard for her to deal with that, you know, if she's not paying attention. And also like jump S as well, this version, because it has a slow down counter on it. But yeah, like Kai has only been getting better as well. His combos got more consistent, meaning more damage for him. And honestly, they just like keep buffing his neutral, which is good. Honestly, I am a fan of this character, so like this isn't necessarily a bad thing. But it went from like 6-4 to like even right now. Like her offense can be really hard for him to deal with. Mainly like for kind of the same reason as Soul, but not as hard because his buttons are bigger and he also has fireball. But like his DP is bad versus her. It's not really a thing you can just commit to. She can OS it in a variety of ways. She can like 6P her safe jumps, and he can't really like do DP RC versus her. Also, she can 2D under it and just space out. He can't really do much. So like DP RC isn't really as helpful as it is with some other characters in a cast. But he can definitely hold his own versus her. His damage is on the higher side off of the hits that you can like potentially get in the matchup. You know, just counter hitting her out of like far slash or something like that with like a 2D. And he has a lot of corner carry too, and Shock State doing more chip is really good for him as well. So yeah, Kai's just generally in a good place, I feel like. I don't think it's like necessarily really skewed in his favor, or like, you know, really skewed in Geo's favor. Just generally like the way that you want to play Kai versus Geo is like the exemplary way that you want to play the matchup in general, I think. But okay, Mei. Mei is another matchup that honestly, I think this matchup has been even for the entire game's duration, honestly. Geo, even without like the dash chain, she was always really good at like approaching Mei, like just as she's about to land, and keeping her from like RPSing with Dolphin or like ID back, you know, button and things like that. Dash 5K is the GOAT versus this character is really strong. And now, like, even though you can like fight her normals a little bit better, I don't think it necessarily changes the matchup that much. I think the biggest thing is like her damage going up, but even then, like I think it's really hard for her to like get those kind of hits versus Geo. Like if the Geo's being careful, like it's kind of hard to just hit her randomly with like a 6 heavy and neutral. You know, you can 6B Dolphin now, which isn't like necessarily easy to do. You're still kind of guessing for the most part, especially like on offense, and she can explode you really hard for it. But Geo is just really good at maneuvering around the character or like keeping up with her, I think. Dash DP has always been really strong, and because Mei is a lightweight, she gets punished really hard for like just being lazy with buttons in the air. Her reversal is pretty slow as well too, so like she can get safe jumps on like OTG knockdowns that she wouldn't get on like Soul DP, for example, as well. So I think it's just generally easy for Geo to like get in and stay in and do what she has to do. You know, like Mei is not really a character that you really play footsies with, so like getting pushed out with FD isn't like the end of the world versus her, I don't think. Especially when you have meter like kind of bank on DP. Yeah, Mei is just like a violent matchup though, I think. So sometimes it can feel a little bit hard because like her reward is like instant. Her reward off of like hitting you with like things is like really instant. She can like explode you in like 4 hits and you're like, yo, where did my life go, right? Or like she can build your risk really high and they hit you with 6 heavy and you get TOD and you're like, this character, you don't have to think with this character, what is this? Oh my god. But like I honestly don't think it's that bad. I don't think it's ever been that bad. Mei definitely like keeps up with Geo, I think. Like her air normals, like I said, the strong maneuvering of being able to mix up your landing timings is really good versus her. And her reward is a little bit higher than other characters in that regard too, especially when she has meter. She can do like ID back jump heavy and then Dolphin at you and you're losing a lot of life off of that. Most characters don't get that kind of damage off of maneuvering like that. But yeah, like I think it's even despite all of that, honestly, because it's not really hard for Geo to, you know, exist on the screen. Mei's not really that good at pressing her advantage at her. I don't think she can like just force her way in like some other characters could and can in this version. But yeah, that's basically that. Not really a whole lot more to say about Mei. Axel. Chipp. Let's talk about Axel later. So Chipp, honestly, I talked about him last stream, or last time I was going over matchups, but Chipp is a character that has changed like a little bit. I think it was slightly her advantage, or like maybe even 6-4, the first version of this game, mainly because of the damage discrepancy. So Chipp, even now, doesn't do a lot of damage versus Geo, and Geo gains a lot of meter quickly. So like her defense, I feel like her defense buff comes into play a lot more versus Chipp than other characters, because like the hits that he gets don't really lead to a lot, but they add up and give her like a bunch of meter, I feel like. Or like even like the normals that he's doing in like block strings and things like that, like 5k, 5k, 5k into Rekka and stuff like that. Like she can generally like just build a ton of meter and like tank a lot of his stuff because he doesn't do a lot of damage. But conversely, any hit that she does that's a counter is like he's getting deleted. And it's only gotten easier for her, I think, because of the dash change. The dash change, she can like space out her 2D a lot more consistently. She doesn't have to like approach him when he's like, you know, just whiffing things. Far slash is a lot easier to deal with because of the basically universal change. Like, I think they want you to be able to 6p all far slashes. So you can like low profile and 6p as far slash now, which is good. And jump 2k isn't really as scary to deal with either because you can actually anti it. You don't have to try to disengage every single time. So I think she beats him right now. I think it's advantage for her. Like that damage discrepancy is like really hard for him to like crawl out of. He has to hit her a lot. He has to hit her a lot for him to like actually win the match. And his life is always in danger, basically, and she's really good at stopping him from approaching. 2D is the GOAT versus this character. Like, it's mad active, and he can't, like, Chipps have to use their speed to kind of, like, approach you. Like, he doesn't really play footsies so much. Like, I feel like he uses his movement and, like multiple jumps and, like, things that he can do in the air to win neutral more so than, like, waiting for you to whiff things and approaching you. And honestly, 2D is just really good. Because, like, Chipps... This is something that I noticed from playing Etzard and this game. Like, Chipps don't look at the screen. Chipps don't look at the screen. They move. Like, they're... And this is the thing about, like, fast characters in general. Like, Yosuke in Persona 4 Arena, Chipp in this game. For example, like, the characters that move really quickly are moving so fast that they're really not looking where they're going. They're, like, they're moving, right? So if you... Preempts are normally very good versus them, and that's, like, a extremely good preempt. Which leads to a lot of reward. Even if it doesn't counter hit, like she gets a knockdown right in front of her, a really advantageous knockdown. So it's just really good all around, and keeping him at bay. It's like the stop sign basically, which is really important versus fast characters. So yeah, I think it's just really hard for him to climb out of that damage discrepancy. Is like the biggest thing. His neutral isn't so bad, but like he has no life. He has no life, and like every interaction is like kind of scary for him, I think. And she can definitely like keep him pinned down even with his DP. Because like just like Soul, his DP is a 63 input, and it's not like a flash kick like Leo's. Okay, who's next? Potemkin. So Potemkin actually is hovering around here. I'm not really sure yet. I feel like, even though I feel like I have a ton of experience in the matchup, I feel like I need to play it more still. Cause like the thing about this matchup is that he is really good at preempting her, because like his air normals are so big and active, right? He can't air dash back, but like he doesn't have to because they cover so much space. And like getting hit spells disaster. You lose if you get hit by a jump into sweep into hammerfall. You're losing really badly. You're blocking Garda 80 times. You're losing Mad Meter or getting thrown and dying. Right? It's very scary. And Mega Fist. Mega Fist is the GOAT versus her. Back Mega Fist. Like, because he really just gets out of there while being +4 if you block it, and getting a combo if you get hit. Like, that shit's huge. And it's like frame 3 invo. It might as well be invo. It's like a hurt bots reduction. But it might as well be invo, basically. Like, he's just out of there. And this kind of thing is where, like, the matchup changes. Because I do think she does good in neutral versus him. Despite, like, how good his preempts can be. Like, she doesn't, especially now, because she doesn't have to, like, overextend so much to space out her disjoints. Like, him just mashing jabs in neutral isn't really as strong as it used to be, because she can space out 2D. But, like, the neutral has always been, like, kind of okay for her, because she's fast enough, like, her walk speed is good enough for her to, like, kind of hit him overextending with, like, Mega Fists and things like that. Or like just whiffing normal. She can literally, like, just like Nago, she can literally see him whiffing like 5 heavy or something like that, and like pulling up with the a 5 dash 5 heavy of her own and getting a whiff punish consistently, which is really good. Her damage is like on a higher side. Her burst damage is really high, which is always good. But like he just tanks a lot of shit. You have to hit him a bunch. The hardest thing about the matchup is that running your offense is very hard to do. It's always kind of been this way in this game, where like if you're wrong on throw, you just die, which is fair. Honestly, it should be that way. But Pot punishes you particularly hard for being wrong. Like if you're wrong on a throw after close slash and he does Mega Fist, like he gets a 4-hit combo which does like 25-30% of your life, and now he's like in your face and probably doing guard 80 times or throwing you and you lose, right? Which is really scary. And if you don't have meter, like it's like easier to do when you have meter to like kind of hedge your bet on RCing if you whiff, but it's still like you have to throw him to make him scared of the strike. But if you're wrong on a throw, you die, and you have to throw him a lot to kill him. You have to strike him a lot to kill him too. Honestly, it's just like generally hard to combat Mega Fist, cause like he can Mega Fist out of her frame chaps if she's like too loose with her delays. too, and she can't really like backdash away from it so easily either. Like she has to hard call out Mega Fist, and that's like the biggest part. Like if Mega Fist didn't exist, I think she would be able to like just rush him down, and like even though she has to hit him a lot, it would be whatever. But like Mega Fist is such a like a low risk high reward option versus her staggers in general. Is just like really hard for her to you know, like run her offense when that move exists. If it wasn't for that, I think it would be like more on the even side, maybe even like slightly advantage. But Mega Fist is honestly like the biggest thing in that matchup. The returns on getting hits is just like night and day, really. Like he can get like a small hit and you're like extremely scared because her defense versus him is not as good as his defense versus her, strictly because of Mega Fist. She doesn't have anything like that to kind of like make him rethink his offense. She just has to straight up guess, especially like on Garda because it's guard break and she can't like try to fuzzy time anything afterwards. Like she just gets hit, so it's just really hard to deal with that, and that's why I think it's probably just like I'm gonna leave Pot right here. Slight disadvantage. I don't really know. He's like somewhere. I'll leave him in slight. Because I do think she has like some really good privilege. Like dash DP is very good versus him. If you have meter, you can kind of like guess on him doing Mega Fist in neutral. And get like a decent return, not really that high because he is really tanky, but yeah, like she has like some okay privileges versus him. It's just like hard to fight Mega Fist, I feel like. And Faust. Okay, so I talked about this a little bit last time too, where Faust is a character that I don't know about actually. There are probably people who are like exploding at me saying this, like, yo, what the fuck? what do you mean? Like she bodies this character, 7-3 matchup. I can't. How dare you? Right? But I really don't know. Like again. Like, I want to think about the tools that the characters have, and I think he has really good tools versus Geo, and it's not easy to approach this character at all, I don't think. I think his neutral, like, all he has to do is throw out an item, and, like, neutral is being played for him, like, automatically. Like, him throwing that item out is, like, changing the way Geo has to, like, approach, because, like, if Envil is going up in the air, right, she has to jump, right, but she's not strong in the air, and Faust is strong on the ground, it's particularly so when she's in the air. Because she doesn't have any way to, like, kind of, like, juke their in the air so much. Like, she's not Millia, right? She doesn't have Capo. She doesn't have 2 air dashes. She's not Chipp. She doesn't have 3 jumps. You know, like, his 6P is the GOAT. His 6P is so good, right? His 6P is really good, and he has really big buttons on top of having an OD backwalk speed. Like, the backwalk speed would be one thing, but his normals are huge. His normals are huge, and he has items that play neutral for him. So, like, it's just, like, really hard to catch him, I feel like. And because like FD got stronger, I think it's like easier for him to survive her getting on him. Dash DP is probably the thing that gives him the most trouble, but it's not hard. It's not easy for her to like dash in and like clear the items, right? Or like avoid getting preempted, you know, with DP all the time. What I will say about that interaction is that I think the risk return is in her favor, because even if she bulldogs and she's just like, I don't care if you hit me with jab or like item, mini Faust or whatever, it does no damage, I don't care, I'm a dash forward and DP, and she counter hits him, she's doing a lot more damage than like anything he could have done by preempting, right? But it depends on what item is on the screen, I think, because if you get hit by bomb, he does mad damage. He does mad damage if you get hit by bomb, right? And it's just like hard to keep track of all the things that he puts on the screen, I feel like. I think it's just really hard to approach that character, and that's basically all I think about the matchup at the moment. As a whole, her offense got a little less potent. So I think him having a 5-frame now on top of like FD being a lot better for him, I think changed the matchup a little bit, but I can't really say how. I need to play the matchup a little bit more and like study it a bit more. But that's what I feel about the matchup at the moment. I don't really know where to put him. Yeah, so he stays in question mark, mystery doctor. Okay, Millia. So Millia is a matchup that I think has been slightly advantageous for Geo the entire game's duration. Basically similar in a way to Chipp, where like her like health is like the biggest thing, I feel like, because Geo's burst damage is extremely high. Like all it takes is like a 2S into super, and she's like losing a ton of health that she can't do anything about. Like she can't burst that hit. And it's just like she can do like a lot of damage on like a couple of hits, you know. And it's just generally hard for Millia to survive that kind of like situation, because like throw does a lot more damage to Millia than it does to other characters. Like, for example, if you want to throw Pot to death, you have to throw him like 80 times, right? You want to throw Millia to death, you have to throw her like maybe six throws and she's dead, basically. And especially with meter, like Geo's building meter the entire time, so like she can throw her like 6 times and then RC into burst safe wall splat, and that's it, right? The nice things about Millia, close slash. Close slash, like, if you see me play Millia on the stream, bro, you know. You know, if you know, you know, close slash. Close slash is really good versus Geo, because she can't go anywhere when she's in the air, basically, and it goes all the way up. Blocking close slash is an L. That is an immediate L. Especially if you block it in the air, because she's plus 1,000,000, and she gets to, like, pull up and do more things and, like, 50-50 you. And Geo is not that tanky of a character if she's not building meter, or doesn't have meter, right? So, like, getting 2k2d'd is, like, you're potentially losing a ton of health from, like, all of the mid-subs, right? You have to, like, guess. You have to guess right, and, get out of that, like, at least once. I mean, she gets 2 mid-subs off of that. And if you get hit by, like, maybe, like, 3 dis mid-subs, like, Geo is doing, like, a substantial amount of damage to you, as opposed to, like, say, Nago or, like, Potemkin. Like, Geo's not really tanking all of that, especially if she gets wall broken. So I think Millia doesn't really struggle on doing damage to Geo so much, which is, like, a good thing. And her neutral is... Like, the thing in neutral versus her is that, like, Millia is good at challenging 2D with her speed. 2D and, like, some of Geo's other preempts with her speed, not so much of her, dashing around in the air. I don't think Millia is actually that good at, doing the thing that, Soul or Potemkin or, like, Kai does, where, like, they mix up their landing timings. Like, because when Millia is mixing up her landing timing, she's not hitting you. She's getting away. Which is, like, cool. Like, Geo's good at catching her, you know? Like, it's like she gets away and maybe can, like, escape if she plays her cards right, but she's not really, like, hitting Millia or doing damage a lot of the times. And she has to be careful about Geo doing dash DP as well. You know, it can be, like, pretty stressful to play this matchup as Millia, I think, because of that. Like, Geo can really just, like, be, like, really aggressive, and the risk return is just generally in her favor. Not to say that Millia can't hold her own if she does get a 2k2d, right? Like, Millia games can definitely happen versus Geo, but it's just, like, hard to be consistent with it, I feel like. Zato is interesting. When the game first came out, I had no idea how to play the matchup at all. I thought it was, like, really bad for her. But as I played it some more, honestly, the more and more I feel like it's actually her advantage. Like, he's similar to, like, Chipp and Millia, where, like, his life, like, he's not surviving. He's not surviving at all, and he doesn't have reversal at all. Those are, like, the 2 biggest things. It's not hard for her to get in on him, I don't think. And it is really hard for him to, like, keep her out. Like, once she actually does get in. 2S is, like, a preempt button versus her. It's, like, a really big button, but she can definitely, like, she can, like, challenge it with her speed, and she can also whiff punish it, if she's looking for it. And honestly, like, he's not really that good at, like, pressing versus her, I don't think. She has some really good options versus, like, the things that he would typically pick in neutral to, like, kind of win. Because the thing about puppet characters, Zato is no exception in this regard, is that when you're fighting puppet characters, you have to beat the puppet before you beat them, right? Especially in neutral. Like, neutral is, like, all about hitting Eddie and getting him out of the way before, like, you can play the game. Basically, his offense is really good, really hard for her to escape, but, like, I feel like every character kind of struggles with him once he gets going. That's, like, his reward for, like, actually hitting you. But, like, she's really good at dealing with Eddie. ID back jump heavy is really good versus both leap and pierce. Being able to cover both of those options at once is really good. Because she's so fast, she can dash under leap and like, just hit Zato, like, straight up, a lot more consistently than other characters can, I think. For nothing, basically. Like, Kai has to maybe do, like, Stun Dipper RC, for example. Like, she can literally just dash in. She can literally just dash in and, like, hit him, which is really good. She can dash in and throw oppose, which is really good because she's so fast. Other characters don't really get to do that so much. And yeah, like, her burst damage is extremely high, right? So if she hits him with 2S, or, like, anything, really, like, into super, like, that's it. Say goodbye. Right, Flight isn't really so good versus her, I don't think, because of her DP. You know, like, it's kind of hard for him to, like, survive once she gets on top of him. Like, him using FD isn't really as strong as, like, some other characters, because, like, it's easy for her to box him up in a corner, you know, like, with the threat of DP, I feel like. So yeah, that's mainly it. Like, he can feasibly win the matchup, but, like, he has no reversal. He has to, like, rely on system mechanics to get her off of him. And it's not really hard for her to, like, get in. Even if she's, like, bulldogging, honestly, she doesn't have to be that methodical with her approach. I don't feel like she can literally just dash at him sometimes. But yeah, that's what I think about Zato. Like, it's mainly his health. You know, it's mainly his health. If he had more health, it would probably be like a more of an even matchup. But like she can really just get in and stay in and kill him like over a little bit. Ram. So Ram, similar to May, this is a matchup that I think has been even since the game came out. Basically, a lot of people struggle in this matchup, I noticed, and like they just go like, "Yo, how do I deal with Ram? Any tips versus Ram? Man, I can't believe you make this matchup look so easy, right?" I think Ram is a character that, similar to Nago, which I'll talk about a little bit later, she cannot just whiff. She cannot. The biggest thing in this matchup, and this is actually similar to Kai as well, where like a lot of players, I feel like, ask me about Kai a bunch, and they feel like Kai just like really bodies Geo, or just like hard. And I can understand why they feel that way, because like at the end of the day, and this is something that I had to get better at as well versus Kai, because I was struggling versus Kai when this patch came out. I was like, what do I do? Like, this character's neutral is juice now. Like, what's happening, right? But like the biggest thing is that I'm sorry, but you just need to get better footsies. Like, really. And that sounds very harsh, but like that's something that I had to learn too. I needed better footsies versus Kai. Like, I literally was just like letting him whiff 2S, and like do fireball. Like, real talk, you really just like need to pay more attention to the ground game. She, like, you can react to her whiffing far slash and punish her on reaction. You can react to her doing 5 heavy and punish her. And they're really negative on block, so you can actually punish them on block with like at certain spaces with like dash 5k and stuff like that. You know, like she can't just like be lazy and whiff normals all day. The offense for both of these two characters, the offensive dynamic is interesting because neither of them have reversals. Like, she has like a really fast super, and Geo has like low profile DP, but like for purposes of them running their offense, like DP is basically a non-factor. It's like a really big guess that's not really worth going for. And Ramlethal is like, she has assisted offense, right? You have to deal with the sword and the sword explosion. And it's really just like she can rinse and repeat that if you let her. Basically, it can be really hard to get out of offense once she gets you into the corner. You have to like play your cards very wisely and like use system mechanics very well. Or just like guess right on like jumping out or dashing in, which is like really high risk, potentially high risk, like moderate return. You know, because getting out of the corner is big. The character is at her strongest when she's in the corner, or like has you in the corner, right? But like Geo can definitely keep her really honest and neutral. Dash DP is really good versus doing IED back jump S, or like dash back jump S and things like that. Her 6P, Ram 6P is really good, actually, particularly good versus Geo because it's low profile and head invul, which is always like a blessing to have versus like really good air normals. So yeah, I think it's even because like Geo can like really just like maul her in the corner, but Ram can also just maul her in the corner, and like the neutral is like really not that bad for either character. Like Ram has to be careful. She doesn't really get a lot mid screen off of her hits, but with meter you have to be scared of her. And like if she like leads you to the corner with meter, like you're probably gonna lose. Honestly, it's just really hard to survive once you get to that point. But it is very easy, or like feasible for you to avoid it getting to that point. You know, you just have to be careful. There's not a whole lot of room for error in this matchup for either side. I don't think it's still a really violent matchup, to be honest. It's like if Ram knocks you down first, burst. Burst or like pray to God you don't get hit, and if like Geo knocks you down first, like burst or pray to God you don't get hit. It's how I feel about that matchup. It's always been like that way, basically. Okay, so who's next? Leo. So Leo is a character that I think has changed a lot with the patches as well. Similar to Soul, but I think Leo is slight disadvantage for her. The reason I think this is that like before it was 6-4 straight up, 6-4 maybe 6.5. It's similar to Soul. Like Soul and Leo were the only two characters I thought she lost to at the beginning of the game. It was really hard for her to win versus these characters. It was just like their defense was too good versus her. His defense is still extremely good versus her. Like so I kind of went over this with the DP characters like Soul and Chipp before, of like their DPs are 63 input and not a flash kick. And I say flash kick specifically because of this character. This character, because it's one button, like you cannot reset pressure with your special moves. Like you can't just do it. It's really hard to reset pressure with that. So like running her offense, it's similar. Like Pot and Leo have the similar thing of like running your offense is hard versus these characters. You can't rely on frame traps so much because of their really good defensive option. So like you have to play around his flash kick. That's how you win the matchup. You use your superior speed to basically stay out of his effective range, or like weave in and out and like goad him into doing DP. But you can't like just go ham on buttons or like offense and pressure and like frame trap, strike throw is not that effective versus him. If you get too carried away, you're gonna get DP'd and he's gonna like start killing you. He still gets hard knocked down for some reason on HDP or just like DPs in general, you know. So you basically just have to be really careful, and the disparity between her defense versus his defense is like the biggest factor, I think. Like once he knocks you down and turns his back, bro, like say goodbye. Say goodbye. It is not easy to defend that stuff. And like he can just like loop it. Right, he can potentially do a lot of damage off it too. Everything he does is plus, you know, like he forces you to guess, and she doesn't really have reversals that she can do versus him. So it's just like hard to survive once he gets to that point. I do think that she does really good in neutral versus him. So dash 2D right now gives him a lot of trouble in neutral, I think. But he is a heavy, so like this is a problem that happens versus Pot as well. And just like all the heavies in general, where like comboing them can be kind of hard, and she can't really bombo as hard as like some other characters, which is like bad, honestly, because you want to like punish them hard from to discourage them from like wilding out a bunch. But yeah, it's just like certain hits you want to like push damage a little bit where you really can't. I feel like so like counter hit 2D can sometimes lead to like less damage than other characters, or like a less advantageous situation. Like sometimes versus like Mei counter hit 2D, you're easily getting wall break and like a clean knockdown, whereas versus Leo you probably like knock him down mid screen and not getting a wall break. And that kind of like flow matters, I think. Yeah, that's like the biggest thing, honestly. Like he's privileged in the fact that he's a heavy and that his offense is really potent. He has like really strong defense versus her, but he can struggle in neutral. I think 2D gives him a lot of trouble, and her movement gives him a lot of trouble. Nago. So this matchup has been like, I've been playing this match. This is a very particular matchup for me because I've been playing this matchup like really heavily since this game came out. When the game first came out, I thought it was 6-4 her advantage. I thought she beat him really badly. She like never really had to approach him ever. Really, like the only thing was like, don't let him do clone to you and you win. Basically, don't let him do clone and like you're just winning neutral. Basically, now the biggest two things that changed this matchup is clone and FD changes. So he really can like survive offense a lot more consistently and take a lot more hits than he could before because of like FD changes. But the same is also applied to Geo, where like FD change actually helps her a lot more in this matchup, where she can survive like because he can't dash, right? So he can't really use dash momentum like say Soul, like even Geo, right, to kind of negate the FD. You know, like if he does like close slash, Michael walk close slash. You know, like FD is really potent versus that kind of thing. You can like get him out of like 5k range, you know, by using FD correctly. But my thing about this matchup that makes it particular is that I think if you can survive neutral at 0 blood without letting him do clone dash at you, basically it's all about surviving until he gets to high blood. When the game first starts, I think it is slight disadvantage, right? I'm gonna leave him slight disadvantage because of this. But it's slight disadvantage until he gets to 2 blood. When he gets to 2 blood, I think it's like actually the way it was before. I think it's the way that it was before. Like the matchup is the same, but like better even because her dash got better. So like she can actually contest with 2S, which she couldn't before. Actually, so I think it's 6-4. I think it's 6-4 for her, and like her favor once he gets to 2 blood. Once he gets to 2 blood, like she can really just chill, right? But you have to survive to that point, right? Which can be the hard part because you can like really feasibly lose at round start versus this character, so you have to be careful. Right, so that's like the biggest thing where I think it stays a slight disadvantage. You have to like really pay attention to his resource. But you can survive on defense, which is really nice, and DP is really good versus him as well. She can RPS a ton in this matchup with DP, which is really nice. She can RPS a ton with like really high reward, which is extremely nice versus this character, because he will spin the wheel. He will do it. He will dice roll all the time. Like that, he's built a dice roll. That's what he does. Yeah, so like it's all about surviving the first couple of seconds of the match, I feel like. And that's why I'll leave him right here, because it can be kind of hard. She can't go, avoiding clone is really hard to do. It is really hard for her to avoid clone without like implicating herself, because close slash hits to the skies, right? So if you jump over it, it has no recovery, it doesn't matter, right? Like he does clone Fukyo, like, and you jump, you have to hold the close slash, basically. Even if you try to air dash away, like you're just getting hit. It's mad hard to avoid clone. Like you have to, the thing about this matchup that leads at a slight disadvantage with the clone is that you have to either dash far slash and like preempt the clone and like put that option on the table, or air dash over it or something to like, you have to hit him. You have to aggress. You have to aggress. You cannot like try to disengage. Disengaging is the wrong option versus that move. Like you can kind of like maybe like dash super jump, get away if you preempt with it, but like you can't like see him do it and like try to do that. You'll just get hit. You know, it can be kind of hard. Clone is definitely just like a really scary option now. And that's basically why I leave this here. Anji. Anji is a character, honestly, I have never sweated this character. Honestly. I would say I want to play it a bit more because he has been getting buffed, but really I don't think his offense is strong enough for her to like have to be scared versus him so much. I don't think he's good at catching her at all. He does have some good preempt buttons versus her, or like okay preempt things versus her, but like they don't really lead to too much unless he counter hits you, which he may or may not do. The things that she typically does in neutral to like, you know, just preempt him. Honestly, let me show this. Actually, this is a good example. So Anji's thing is that he does the guard point, he does the twirl in neutral, and he does he kind of like he does Shitsu sometimes now that he has like less recovery on it, but like he's mainly doing like Fujin and special moves and like whipping this and doing stuff like this. But when he's twirling, oh, I don't, yo, who plays Anji in here? How do you twirl? How do you do this? Oh, there we go. Alright, so this kind of thing right here. So her PMs have like such little recovery that that's not a punish. That's not a punish. And this is the biggest thing. Like she doesn't have to worry about twirl and dice rolling with twirl and neutral so much. Because like this move has the same thing. Where like it has no recovery, I'm just out of here. I'm out. Right? And this is a multi-hit too. Right, this is a multi-hit, it gives you like a ton of time to like confirm the situation. If he like messes up, yeah, if he messes up, like he can get hit by this, and she can like RC back and things like that, you know, like this move and this move and like all of her like approach tools like just beat twirl basically, and can also beat like him whiffing with Fujin. Like this move right here, just like if he wants to play the game by himself at the end of the screen doing like mad moves and stuff like this, like 2D just smokes him basically, and like that's why it's really hard for him to win neutral, I feel like. And on top of that, when he does get a hit, I don't think his offense is like potent enough for her to have to be scared. Really, like I feel like the risk return is in her favor. He does do a lot of damage. He can potentially do a lot of damage actually, which is a good point in that matchup, especially off of preempts. If he preempts you with a oh, let me get rid of this. With a count hit like 5 heavy or a 2S into that ring, for example, like he's doing a ton of damage, honestly, which is a saving grace, but like not enough. It is not enough, so I think it's like advantage, just like straight up advantage. Ino is a matchup that has changed a ton this version. She's floating around here. She's floating around here. I actually don't know about this one, because similar to Pot, like I'm not really sure. It's either like here or here. But the biggest thing is that the neutral is hard. The neutral is very hard in this matchup now. When the game first came out, it was really bad for Ino. It was 6-4 in Geo favor, in my opinion. Maybe even like a little more than that, honestly. Because of like far slash and 2D. Far slash and 2D just gave her a ton of trouble. Like those two buttons won the matchup for her. Like if Ino could not deal with 2D or far slash in a really like effective way, she was going to lose basically. Ino could not approach Geo easily at all. She had really good preempts, but it didn't matter because Geo had no incentive to go over there and implicate herself basically. Ino has 3 avenues of approach. She's going to dash at you, she's going to do stroke, or she's going to dive. That's it. That's all she can do. Or she's gonna do note and then like do one of the above, basically. So now that Far Slash loses to stroke and just low profiles and like 6p in general, Ino has a much easier time. On top of like her speed increasing, she has a much easier time both approaching and like discouraging discouraging Geo from like just dashing in with Far Slash or just like dashing in general. You know, like her 6p is a goat. Her 6p is so good. Her 6p is ridiculously good actually. And the thing too is like Geo, because like she can struggle to win on the ground and like approach from the ground, like 6p is even more potent than usual because like Geo wants to like approach from the air sometimes and like kind of mix that up. But 6p is just like, yo, not today. Not today, homie. Yeah, she definitely has like a standout 6p and like really good preempts. So the thing about Geo before and that made the matchup easy was that Far Slash could cover all of her avenues of approach, basically. Like if she dived, Far Slash wins. If she dashes, Far Slash wins. If she strokes, Far Slash wins. But now she can only cover one option at once, which makes the matchup a lot harder, mainly because the risk return is like not in her favor. Like if you're wrong, like the thing about Ino that makes her scary is that she doesn't even have to hit you for you to be losing. If you block a jump S, that's an L. That is an L. You're losing really badly if you let her do that to you, right? So even like trying to dash block versus her is like really not really a good option. It's just like a really violent matchup because she has to like dice roll a ton on defense. Geo's defense versus her is not. She has like DP, which is good versus jump D, right? Higher return than doing 6p. But it's still just like a hard commit, you know, and like Ino potentially can do a lot of damage. Like some people tell me this character doesn't do damage. Ino does damage. I'm not hearing it. This character, if she hits you with like counter hit 6 heavy or like 5 heavy or something like that, bro, say goodbye. Say goodbye. You're dying, right? Her Mitsu, you can't block her. You have to do things to get out of defense, and she just forces you to dice roll. So it's hard, honestly. The only reason I hesitate to put it straight up in disadvantage is that her defense versus Geo is not really that good. The only thing is that her return on guessing right on defense is extremely high, whether or not she hits you. Right? Whether or not she hits you, like her making you block something is like, bro, like you're losing. Right? I don't really know about this one. I feel like it's been getting easier the more I've been playing it. It's all about fighting her special moves. Right? Fighting her special moves, but like the way that you fight her special moves don't really lead to a lot of return for the most part. Like if you beat stroke, you're normally just getting throw, which is like a nice knockdown, or like 2k into 204k, which is a nice knockdown but not damage, right? Not damage, and also you're not like 50-50ing her. You're just like you're doing strike throw. You know, I feel like because of that and the FD changes, it might be easier for her to survive Geo offense than it is for Geo to survive Ino offense. So I'm gonna leave her right here. I don't think this match is easy at all. Honestly, I want to play it some more and like get some more practice in, but like, it's hard. It's really hard, honestly. It feels like blocking Ram, like when Ram gets going, it's that same similar feeling, except like she can get that condition from neutral, like just you blocking a jump S, or like blocking a stroke, or like blocking a note, as opposed, or like her blocking like dive RC. As opposed to you know, just Ram running up a Far Slash 5 heavy, and that's basically it, you know. It's hard to survive this matchup, I feel like. Goldlewis. This character's interesting. I feel like he has something that I always thought this about this character, where people was like Geo just bodies him, right? Like I never really thought that was the case. Because I think he has things that are really good versus like the general thing of like missing up your landing. Like Behemoth Typhoon in the air, especially with like the momentum that he can get on air dash and air dash back, and the return that he can possibly get off of it is like really good. Once he gets going, he's going, and everybody's equal when they're blocking Behemoth Typhoon, I feel like. But like the neutral, I don't think is that bad for her. I think he's good at keeping her from approaching. Is the thing. He's good at keeping her from approaching, and also like can like just really kill her once he gets in, right? And he's a heavy, so like some of my combos, or like some of the combos that you generally want to do to like dissuade big bodies from like RPSing all the time don't really work. And he can tank a lot of hits too, so you have to throw him a bunch. His return on guessing right on a throw is not as high as Potemkin or Leo, I don't think. Actually, like mid-screen especially, right? He doesn't really kill you mid-screen with Behemoth Typhoon so much. Like Pot, if he guesses right mid-screen or like into the corner, you know, like it's really bad, right? If your back is to the wall, you have to be scared of Behemoth Typhoon, but not so much mid-screen, I don't think. Especially if he's not willing to spend the meter. So I'm gonna leave it at slight advantage. I think her offense is really potent versus him. She can low profile his his 2P with her 5D, which is similar to Nago actually. So like 5k into 2D in his face, like he can't do anything about it. He has to guess on throw, right? 5p will whiff, 2p will whiff, like 2k is not fast enough to win, right? It'll trade and like she gets a knockdown. So it's like he can't really like that situation is like really not in his favor as opposed to like some other characters, you know. Jacko. I don't know about this character actually. Like I want to believe it's advantageous. Because of like Geo's burst damage on top of like I don't feel like Jacko is a character that does a ton of damage. She's like a situation character. And once she gets going, she can definitely get going. But like I feel like Geo, because of how quick she is, like forces her to make those decisions very quickly. So like it can be kind of hard for her to like just enforce her space in neutral. You know, I don't think the returns are like even remotely similar on like some of the things they do to control neutral. Honestly, I'm gonna leave her a slight advantage actually. I want to play the matchup a little bit more, but like I don't feel like she like has a good time versus Geo so much. Honestly, like minions being on the screen is cool and all, but like Geo's not a character that really chucks projectiles at you. Her thing is that she is moving forward with speed, right? So like you have to, and like honestly, I don't know what they were thinking with her what's it called? What is that move called? The shield? The K follow up, the shield? I don't think the shield is that good. Actually. Especially like if you want to keep her from like hitting the clones in neutral. You know, I don't think it's really something worth doing. Especially like the C follow up or the S follow up, the explosion delayed explosion, like that. I don't think that move's good. I think that move's bad, actually. And I feel like maybe Jacko could stand to be buffed in like some buffed in like some meaningful ways before like I change my judgment on a matchup. I think she's just kind of like a not incomplete but like wishy-washy, if that makes sense, character. She's like kind of teetering on the edge. I feel like I do think some of her matchups are good for her, and then like some of her other matchups are maybe like just what are you doing, you know? Like she's an interesting character for sure. I'll save my judgment for a little bit later down the line, but that's how I feel about the matchup right now. Okay, Happy Chaos? Question mark. Asshole. I think actually I don't know anything about this character. Now I'm gonna be honest. I need to play this matchup somewhere. I don't know. I've played a ton of this matchup with Soul. My initial impression is that she does good versus him, because she can just force the issue a lot with her dash and dash blocking, and also I think it's kind of easy for her to avoid curse while also making herself threatening right in front of him. Because basically you have to think of like his what's the word? His like gun stance as like a full screen 11 frame button, because that's basically what it is, right? But honestly, I think like she's quick enough to like discourage him from just like doing it, you know? And also like he has no reversal, so like say goodbye once she gets in front of you, which I think she can do feasibly. So yeah, I don't really know about this, so I want to play the matchup a bit more, but I don't think she loses to him at the moment, but I'm gonna leave him in question mark anyway because I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know about this character. Axel. Alright, this is the last character. Axel, I've been thinking, y'all don't know, I've been thinking about this matchup a ton. Oh, whoops. Yo. Word. I've been thinking about this matchup a ton. I actually don't... where do I put this character? Honestly, he's definitely like hovering around here. Like he's hovering around here. So this is another matchup where like people are probably gonna be like, yo, what are you talking about? Well, what do you mean? There's no 8-2 matchup, bro. Stop it. All right, but again, I'm looking at the characters' tools and like how they interact with each other more so than like watching Axel die off like me doing dash DP or something like that, right? Like, yeah, he doesn't have a lot of life, which is a similar issue to like it's like Zato and like Chipp, for example, right? And her burst damage is really high, and I've been trying to think about it in terms of like how stressful it can be on Axel's side of things to like actually just play neutral and like feel safe playing neutral, because I think the risk return on her bulldogging is in her favor. But I don't think that's a consistent way to play the matchup at all, because this character does dummy damage, bro. Like he can delete you off of certain hits and you're just looking like, yo, where did this damage come from, right? And the thing about it is like she can dash block a ton, but it's not really that good to just keep dash blocking everything. Like, yeah, you can be safe, but like you have to think about it like this, like you're building risk every time you block something. Every time you block something versus character, it's an L, because you are getting pushed back in neutral, eating Chipp, or either eating Chipp and building risk, or just losing meter because you're FDing, right? So it's like you can dash at him a ton, like dash block, but like the moment he touches you, when you have like 25% risk, you're eating a ton of damage. You're just like, yo, what is it? A ton of damage off for like 4 hits, bro. And just like, gee, like what is this damage, yo? And he has something that is really good. Actually, let me show this. Let me show this. I'm gonna leave him, let me show this real quick. So Axel actually has like things that are really good versus Geo on defense. Things that are pretty annoying on defense, actually. So, okay, so on defense, FD has gotten way better, right? So he doesn't have to hold offense as much as he used to, which is good. And he has a 2K, 5-frame 2K, which is ridiculous. This move being 5 frames is actually insane. I don't know what they were thinking. But this kind of like RPS right here, this, like, especially now, it didn't exist last version, but especially now because they changed DP, like this does not exist. This does not exist at all. Damn, why did that trade? Yeah, that should never win. That should never win under any circumstance. She can't beat this. She can't beat this. This move is juiced, bro. Like she cannot beat this no more. I think it catches backdash too, because of how much active, how many, yeah, like she has to sit there. She has to sit there after 2 and 4K. Her committing to this move with no meter is her giving up her turn. There's like, this RPS situation is just like not in her favor at all. Like this move leads to a lot of damage if she gets hit by it, like trying to RPS, and leads her full screen. And now she's eating Chipp and building risk and like has to get back in and use her health as a resource to get in on the character again. She can't stagger this so much. Like she can't do this and like try to walk back, or let's walk back. That's a punish. That was a straight up punish, right? A lot of characters can't do this. He deadass just like, this is bad. This is really bad, you know. And if she like this is her last chance, right? If she does this and banks on the 2 and 4K, like really bad RPS situation for her afterwards. Honestly, like this move just like shuts down any RPS attempt. It's pretty obnoxious, honestly. But yeah, I think that's like the biggest thing. Like his defense versus her, I think, is really good. The only thing about it is that if he's wrong, he can potentially explode to her really high burst damage, you know, because she can like do this at the super and he's like exploding, right? But yeah, I don't think like it's like I just have to hold Geo offense all the time. I don't think that's the case at all, honestly. And I refuse to let anybody tell me any different, bro. Like I do not think that's the case. Especially if the Ata has strong defense too, because like if you don't hit them and capitalize on you getting your turn, like, you have to get back in. You have to get back in. It's just, like, not easy to approach this character at all. I think he does very good in neutral versus her. And like, he starts the game in a very favorable position, honestly, because he is not next to you, right? He can, like, get his space and just keep you out, you know? There are, like, maneuvers that Gio does that he can react to and, like, hit her and like get her back to full screen. 2S is the god. 2S is the god button, bro. Like, that, you don't know how nice it is to have like a crouching anti-air that you can react to people air dashing at you with and like get a really big punish. That is mad good, honestly. Gio's no exception. She's not an aerial character. Like, the thing about Millia, where like people say fast characters beat Axel, is like Millia and Chipp actually, where like they have a lot of things they can do in the air to like mix up the way they approach. Gio has to approach front of ground or do air dash. That's it. Air dash, jump heavy, or approach front of ground. That is it. She cannot do anything else. She's mainly like a grounded character, right? And him just waiting there and looking at her, like if she commits to that air dash, he can literally react to her doing that that air dash and like hit her with a 2S like very easily, extremely easily. Right? He can also, like, from further distances, he can react to her doing air dash in 5P into, like, Rensen, for example. You know, like, I feel like he can play the matchup a lot safer in neutral than Gio can. Gio has to, like, take risks and guess to get in on him, whereas, like, he can react to a lot of things or, like, do maneuvers like ID bat jump S, which are, like, really safe, and also get some time to, like, kind of survey the situation and see how she's trying to approach, you know, while also like gaining distance and like making her block something and build risk and things like that, you know. Like, I don't think it's like an easy matchup at all, honestly. So he's hovering around slight disadvantage or like even, honestly. Like, I'm gonna leave him at even. I'm going to leave him at even. I'm gonna leave it at even because of her burst damage. He does have a reversal, which is like annoying, where like if he didn't have a reversal, it would probably just be straight up even, right? It would probably just be straight up even, but he does have a reversal and like really good options on defense versus Gio. But even with those options, if he's wrong, he can just die without being able to play the game, honestly. And that's really big in the matchup, I think. But yeah, that's basically it. That's basically it. A lot of people think she beats him straight up, but yeah, I want to look at the tools. I want to look at the tools a lot more than just like how people perform versus the character. And yeah, that's it. That is it. That is it. I've explained everything for the most part, despite except for these two characters, because I don't know anything about them really, or I don't know enough about them. Yeah, this is what I think about Geo matchups at the moment. Like I said at the beginning, this is not really me opening up discourse or anything, but people definitely want to hear my thoughts and opinions on matchups, and here we go. This is it. This is what I think about the matchups in this game right now. So you're thinking Geo top 5, or what we thinking? I don't know about that. I thought she was top 3 last version. Actually, I thought she was straight up just top 3. Like, that character was so good. That character is ridiculously good. Now that her offense isn't really as strong as it used to be, I don't know. I don't know. Plus, they buffed like some characters that really didn't like need to be buffed. To be honest, like this cretin down here, this character right here. You know, like I think it's just really hard to say at the moment. With this matchup chart, then Gio is probably A tier instead of B. Oh, she's definitely like, no, she is not B tier at all. She's definitely like A or above. Definitely like A or above. Depending on like how you tend to do these lists, because some people do like S and then S plus tier. You know, I don't think she's like a mid tier character at all. She's like upper tier for sure. For sure. But I don't really have like a concrete like number to put her in. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for tuning in, y'all. I'm gonna cut it here. I'm gonna cut it here. This has been a 6-hour stream. A lot longer than I normally do.